you think it'd be crazy for an average person with no business whatsoever in training horses to try and tame not one, but two horses, you'd probably be right. Let alone if these horses were completely unhandled, aka wild Arabians. Two sisters, actually. They've never been separated from one another, and they have completely distinct characters. But here's my perspective. First things first. So why Arabians, you may ask? For those of you who don't know, Arabians have a reputation for being strong-charactered and a handful to train, even for some of the most experienced trainers. I always wondered if this breed was known purely for its beauty and feisty spirit, or if tales of their intelligence and loyalty, which are found in our Arabian Night books, hold any truth to them whatsoever. So first I needed to find a truly unhandled raw straight Egyptian horse, with its natural responses and instincts intact as much as possible. Given my Arab, African, Nubian origins historically, my grandfathers dealt with Arabian horses for centuries. But I knew nothing about them, and I needed to find out for myself if this breed of horses was anything like what many of its dedicated owners claim. I initially planned on buying one mare, Shatoria, but she had a younger, full sister, a 2-year-old named Ateeya. They even shared the same stall, which is not very common, I know. But anyway, that's what I found, okay? That was the deal I got. I gave it some thought, and I decided I wouldn't separate them by buying just one. I wasn't planning on training them separately either, as many trainers would logically recommend for considerations like safety and convenience.
To put matters into perspective, this is Mr. Steve Young from the UK, an international and well-respected trainer with over 20 years of experience, 460 videos and 107,000 subscribers. Even he wisely decided to separate both feral geldings when he was faced with a similar situation, in contrast to me. 0 experience, 6 subscribers and 2 wild horses eyeing me down like I'm the one who needs training.
Very difficult,
Yeah.
or I would find it nigh on impossible. Impossible.
But I wasn't convinced it wasn't doable, despite their very different characters and the lack of my own knowledge, of course. Unfortunately, the elder mare, Shatoria, had a halter forcefully placed on her face by her previous owner, and no one could get close enough to her to remove it. It remained on her face for a full year, until her face grew into it, causing her quite some trauma. Understandably, Shatoria doesn't trust humans, nor does she like halters. Shatoria is the risk manager of the herd. She's always vigilant and always on the lookout. Her younger sister, Ateeya, is a mini bulldozer, hardly ever looking where she's going, but she walks in a straight line regardless. Personally, I've had my fair share of adventures, even as an international banker, where I've led teams of bankers in high-risk countries, moving under the protection of bodyguards and having to wear bulletproof vests in bomb-proof vehicles just to get to work. I've been an avid spearfisherman and free diver for the past 15-odd years. I've dived on Bateau for quite some days, and dune bashed for even longer in the Arabian deserts of Dubai. But nothing could compare to this experience of trying to earn the trust of these 2 wild horses, especially that they both fit the version that I sought out perfectly, and they were mine now. So what's next? I was alone with 2 wild desert Arabian horses in the freezing temperatures of Canada with no direction.
What's wrong with you?
I'm lucky enough to have a German friend named
Corina Schmidt-Bindel, who lives in Dubai.
We spoke and set out a plan. I would train them alone, and Karina would guide me throughout my journey and help me understand my horse's behavior to gain their trust and build my own communication abilities. Karina enjoys a profound level of horsemanship, comparable to trainers like Warwick Schiller, Brian Rose,
Josie Matthews,
advocates for stopping horse abuse no less than riding like. Throughout this journey, I've not only learned about horses, but also about myself, gaining awareness, patience, and improving my connection with those around me. Simply putting it, Shatoria Ateeya have since been teaching me some invaluable lessons about how to better handle aggression, which usually isn't self-defense, and how it might sometimes unintentionally work for you rather than against you.
Shatoria Ateeya.
They've taught me about friendship and mutual respect, but they're the basis of any kind of training or communication that you can have with a horse. Horsemanship is not about forcing or imposing anything, especially when it comes to matters like safety. Usually the phrase that comes up is respect, but it's not about forcing, demanding respect. It's a friendship. That's simply it. Yes, they've taught me patience because I somehow needed to figure out a means of communicating with an animal that's 10 times my strength and multiply that into 2 horses. How to medicate horses, reveal an injury, stomach worms, lameness. I had started training Ateeya on how to pick up her front feet just days before the injury, but we never reached as far back as the hind legs. I saw her shivering in fear, and I rewarded her for her bravery. This injury has proven to be the best hands-on crash course for both of us: trust, patience, and communication. I knew it was extremely painful for her, but it didn't take long for this green, unhandled filly to hand over her hind leg to me. When she wouldn't, I would remind her that we had a deal. That feeling right there was extremely satisfying. Despite the burning medication and agonizing pain, she never once kicked to hurt me. It took a little creativity to handle the situation alone, but I knew this ordeal was gonna last for quite some time. They taught me that trust needs to be given first to be gained, especially while trying to figure out how do I train them to pick up their feet, for example.
Go back a little bit. The attitude, please. On the butt, okay? انظر عند العرب. يلا تعال لفة يلا U-turn يلا let's U-turn.
Once that was done, then I thought everything was all set, so I could have some relief in tending to their much overgrown hoofs. It worked for Ateeya, but Shatoria only let the farrier trim her left side and refused to let him anywhere near her right side. She's quite a dominant mare. So long story short, I had to learn how to trim hooves myself. No choice. Initially, I used the elbow method, and then I followed it by Linda Harris's tacked method.
TACT, which stands for the Anatomically Correct Trim, has been developed by Linda Harris over the past 20 years. Linda's been implementing some crazy studies. Rather than take what's written in the books for granted, what she'd done is that she dissected hooves of dead horses and has discovered everything almost that's been taught to us about the horse's hoof and his frog and the way that the hoof capsule actually grows was completely inaccurate.
I also needed to learn how to edit videos to best reflect this journey in the clearest way possible. They were no longer just horses. They've grown into me. They've given me a different perspective to life, without exaggeration. They've changed the way I read and interact with humans and horses alike. They make you listen more than talk, and give more attention to intentions rather than actions. The legacies of the Arabian horse's nobility seem to hold the truth to them. They've made me understand horse behavior from a direct, head-on perspective with many failures, yet a fair number of successes. This is my story, a journey of building trust where the impossible became a reality. Will you join me in this adventure?
Girls, you need to stop doing this.
Shatoria, leave it. I beg you, leave the tripod.